make then of this short-term decision or short-term strategy that government has put in place with this 1 litre, 1 Ghana cedi fuel levy?
So let me wish you a good morning. First time being anchored by you. We will all have a very good discussion. Always a pleasure sharing this platform with EduG and my own prof here. And good morning to your lovely viewers. But if there's one issue that personally really vexed me to the core, there is issue pertaining to energy crisis, because there's one issue that I felt that the government has not dealt well with us at all. And I know EduG attempted that, given a historical antithesis. I think he was really generous to the leadership of His Excellency Nana Addo. You know, when we came this morning, my prof here was asking me about the indemnity, the presidential indemnity in our constitution, and whether or not we should not be looking seriously at removing it. I think he was asking in reference to why we are not holding Nana Addo accountable. Now, why am I saying this? So, they say that the devil is always in the detail, and was asking about accountability. First of all, we need to account for how much ESLA gave us over the last 8 years. Why we, after collecting, but after the first 4 years, close to $4 billion, we still have debt. We need to ask questions what those monies were used for. Because about just 8 billion Ghana cedis was used to collateralize the ESLA bonds. What happened to the rest of the monies? Because in the first 4 years, they collected close to about 17 billion cedis. What happened to those monies? Also, we need to ask questions about why government failed to implement the actions recommended in the energy sector recovery program. Because when you're analyzing the energy issue, so first of all, we know that it's a financial crisis. But also, we also know that there's a cause to why there's debt in the first place. And so ESLA attempted to deal with the debts. But then government went ahead to do energy sector recovery program, which attempted to look at the fundamental issues that created the debts in the first place. And having come out with the ESLA recovery program report, that said that we were having the financial issues because of some technical issues, because of some commercial issues, because of issues pertaining to the P, that is a tick or P agreements. Mm-hmm. And understanding that the energy sector recovery program was done in 2018, after 6 years. How do we find ourselves in a situation where government will find itself in between the devil and the deep blue sea? And sadly, one problem the people of Ghana are complaining is because we do not even understand what, first of all, how much the 1 cedi is going to give us. There's no end in sight, because if at the end of the day it's supposed to aid in dealing with some debts, you understand? Then I think in the law or in the act that proposed that there should be an end game. Government should be able to tell us that we anticipate that we are going to collect this levy for like four years, and beyond the 4 years, we think we'll have enough money to pay the debt, and that these are our strategy in dealing with the underlying causes of those programs, as in terms of the commercial losses, in terms of the technical losses. Because we need the state-owned enterprises that are within the electricity supply chain, so grid cool, need serious capital injection, because one of the reasons why we have technical losses is because of the obsolete nature of some of the machines there. You understand? Right. So for me, my personal view is that where we are right now, we don't have a choice but to swallow this bitter pill. Really.
You call it a bitter pill?
Yeah, it's a really bitter pill. It's a really, really bitter pill. No, don't, because like Edwin said, if government needs to find $1 billion to purchase fuel, where is the money going to come from? Are we going to resist? 1.1 billion dollars. Are we going to protest and resist and then be saddled with doing so? And then the cascading impact of doing so. You understand? So for me, I think there should be a short-term plan, which is this one city, but it must be done well. I think government didn't do it in terms of the communication. Because and I want to say this, compare this to a parent who is giving your baby a bitter pill to cure a disease. A lot of work really had to be done to get the buy-in of the people, especially when this is a democracy and not a monarchy. I think government did do too well there. Also, I feel that to get the buy-in of the people, government needs to find a way of telling us strategies they've put in place to deal with the underlying problems that lead to these unnecessary deaths that kill or threaten to kill the energy sector. Government needs to ASAP tell us what their strategies are. Are they going to rely on the strategies proposed in the energy sector recovery program, or they have their own strategies to deal with the underlying issues that really are the reasons why our energy sector seems to be involved in all these crazy deaths? Government needs to tell us. And thirdly, there must be accountability. There must be serious accountability with those who led our energy sector for the past 8 years. Because how can you justify why you raise all those monies with ESLA? Like I'm saying, about 3.5 billion. The debt was about 2.something billion dollars. And then you use 8 billion Ghana cedis. So at that time, close to less than 2 billion for some ESLA bonds, as in to refinance or to create more debt for us. And then you claim that you use some of the monies for infrastructure, develop roads. As in, where are the roads, if I may ask? They claim that they use it for some lightning projects. Where are the lights? They claim that they use it to subsidize pre-mix fuel. You understand? So there need to be serious accountability. Because that's the only way you can get the buy-in of the people. You understand? In some of these very onerous decisions that government may have to take to salvage the problems we are facing. So yes, it's not enough for the opposition, as in the MPP, because we are all in opposition. But it's not enough for the MPP to be trying to throw dust in the eyes of people.
You won't be partnering along to go with these demonstrations?
The MPP led.
Yes, we were told last week that there will be a series of actions, including demonstrations to kick against this levy. The Movement for Change, you will not be partnering with the NPP?
They are the reasons why. But if there's anything they should be doing, they should be wearing sackcloth.
Sackcloth?
Yes, put ashes on their head, go around the country and beg us and ask for forgiveness. I'm telling you, we are not angry enough, because the situation we find ourselves in right now is as a consequence of, I wouldn't say negligence, because it was very deliberate. And I'm saying it's very deliberate because where you undertake an energy sector recovery program that seemingly has the answers to our problems, and you fail to implement those programs, and we find ourselves in this situation, and instead of you apologizing, you want to demonstrate against what? You see, we can't be doing the usual politics. Because the usual politics we've been doing is killing our country.
Lord Danquah, let me ask you then if any of the points raised by the NPP resonate with you. And I think at least you agree that the lack of in-depth consultation caused some discomfort. You saw how COMAC responded to that letter for implementation. And I think Lawyer Eduji is right when he says that COMAC doesn't appear to have a major gripe with the levy itself, but the rush for implementation. So I can agree with that. But others have talked about consultation. GPRTU, in fact, tomorrow is a day to watch, because they say that they're going to be going on a strike themselves. They were told to bring down transport fares by some 15%, only a week later to be told about an increment as far as this levy is concerned.
So the major issue is not the consultation. The major issue is the need, whether or not the need for that one cedi levy in the first place.
And you say it's a bit uphill pill we have to swallow.
Yeah, we will need to swallow. So they shouldn't divert attention with, and we all agree, government didn't do enough consultation, their communication wasn't too good. But in my opinion, that is not the major issue. The major issue is why are we in a situation after having had ESLA for close to 10 years, after having had the benefit of the recommendations in the energy sector recovery program for 8 years? Why do we have or find ourselves in a situation where we do not have a choice but to take upon ourselves this one Ghana cedis levy? So Ghanaians should be eye-opened. They shouldn't allow the NPP once again to divert the issues. You understand? Because when you go into the issues, then the NPP, rather than having the moral, the cojones to be attempting a demonstration, they should rather be putting on sackcloth and put ashes on their heads and beg. And also, Ghanaians must push this government for proper accountability to be held against these people. That anybody who has played any part criminally in this criminal enterprise, that's led us to where we are now.
Which criminal enterprise, Lord Danquah?
So let's go. An audit should be done on, because the numbers do not make sense. You create an act that says that we are collecting monies for this purpose. Yeah, you understand? Now you collect the monies. You have enough monies to retire the debt, and yet you go on a certain agenda that has caused a further deepening of the debt. Two, you with the aid of World Bank, and I think an energy sector recovery program. The program comes out with a number of recommendations, and you fundamentally fail to implement those recommendations, to the point where we are ensured that the issues, the ECG issues, where the minority themselves is saying that the extent of the corruption in the ECG is. So for me, serious audits needs to be done. People should be held accountable. The principles of probity and accountability must be made to work, or we should see those principles being applied here. Because those are the things that government can do to get the buy-in of the people. You understand? Because, like I'm saying, it's a bitter pill we all need to swallow. But government needs to do a massive
audit.
Even what's called communication drive to get people to understand what the real issues are, and they shouldn't hold back. I realized that my brother here held back in terms of beyond talk about ESLA. He didn't talk about the misapplication of the ESLA funds and how those misapplications have put us in the situation we are in now. We talk about energy, and that even affects more. The energy sector recovery program, that one sparks of clear lack of commitment. Because it's totally different where you don't know the solutions to a problem, but where you know the solutions. And for 6 years, you have the executive power. You sleep and watch and allow this country to be plunged into a situation where our transformation agenda can never be as successful. And what do? When you have a leader, and we may disagree with the lack of consultation and all,
right,
but he's had the moral courage to take a decision which may make him very unpopular for the benefit of the country. And what you will say what? Because you have a right to demonstrate, you want to demonstrate. No problem. I'm saying that
you say they should go ahead.
But because they have a right to, I can't stop them. But I'm saying if they had any sense of patriotism, if they love this country, what they should be doing instead is to put on sackcloth, put ashes on their head, and go around begging Ghanaians, asking for forgiveness. And thirdly, an audit should be done, and anybody who is found culpable should be held accountable, seriously accountable. That's the only way in which you can get and then lastly, the government should take serious steps to also start finding solutions to tackle the underlying reasons why we have the deaths in the first place. So that at least we find ourselves in a situation where, let's say in 3 years' time, 4 years' time, we would have survived this dire situation with flying colors. And just to add lastly, and so in the light of that, I think it is necessary that they tell us that, listen, this one city thing maybe will last for a year.
So you join the
2 years.
calls that there should be a sunset clause, so we know when all of this will come to an end.
Because we can't keep on paying till perpetuity, because we know the debt. And if beyond the debt, they take critical, serious steps to deal with the underlying issues, then I think that like the energy sector recovery program said, they said that by 2023 we'll find ourselves in a situation where this crisis will be done with, where the financial situation in the energy sector will be viable, as in the sense that the cost of producing the energy will be less than the revenue they generate. They were able to predict. I'm sure they can predict. At least there's some sense. So we know that we are going to pay this for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. But when you leave it ajar, then there's a high chance, or an argument could be made that there's an intention of also misapplying those funds.
Are you speaking from a place of trauma? A place of, we've seen this before, so we don't want to see it again. Certainly. Lord Danquah, I do have one more question for you. But just before I did you come in, let me just acknowledge the presence of Dr. Riverson Opong, CEO and Industry Coordinator, Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies. Doc, hello, good morning. All right, Doc, can you unmute for us, please?
Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. I was just saying good morning. I'll be coming to you very shortly.
Good morning. Okay.
All right, certainly. Eddie, you wanted to interject?
Just a quick hint. He had raised a very legitimate concern on the issue of the sunset clause, what we do. Now, this is where it gets a bit tricky. If you recall, when we passed ESLA in 2015, it was just for 5 years.
That's right.
Now, the 5 year didn't see President Mahama. It came when the NPP. By which time, they had incorporated ESLA PLC and had taken bonds on the back of the receivables, and now extended ESLA to 2035. Excuse my language, making nonsense of the whole sunset clause.
So actually, it should have ended in 2021.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, we went for the bonds on the back of the receivables. That then extended the tenor of those bonds to 2035. And so if you kick in the sunset clause, it is going to impact on it. And so when we're putting this together, the question was, should you put sunset clause immediately? Or what you do is that government has a plan of putting the tuable gas, the phase 2, so that once we do that, we can harvest gas. If we have gas, we'll not use liquid fuel. And so that with gas coming on stream in the next 2 to 3 years, we are sure that these numbers wouldn't be in need of $1 billion annually to purchase liquid fuel. Now, the challenge was that if you had done that 50%, what we call liquid fuel into the tariff arrangement, it was going to lead to 50% increase in electricity bills.
In fact, Edward, we're told it's 68%. I was listening to Richmond Roxon, and he's the spokesperson. Let me get that designation right. Roxon Richmond, he's the spokesperson, Ministry of Energy and Green Transition. Because during the week as well, I'd heard from the finance minister or maybe the energy minister saying 50%. He says actually it would have to go up by 68%.
Possibly factoring other issues into it. But I'm saying that liquid fuel alone, included in the tariff arrangement, like the minister said, would have resulted in 50%.
All right, so that extra 18% would come from the other. That makes sense.
And you see, the interesting thing is that, my lady, if you generate 100 Ghana cedi worth of power, right from the beginning, 30 cedis is already lost in distribution and line losses alone. So you are left with only 70. Meanwhile, you bought this from the IPPs. And you know, one thing that has helped us is that because of the appreciation of the cedi, the tariffs are in dollars because you see kilowatt cents, you understand. Now, because of the appreciation, it's also helping in terms of gain on the part of ECG. because then ECG will needed to mobilize more Ghana cedis to buy less dollars. Now you need less cedis in order to get the same dollar to pay for it. It will shock you, my lady, that as we speak today, the IPPs alone, we owe them almost $2 billion. How are we going to do this? Car Power, AXA, all of them are threatening to shut down. Sometimes I wonder, with respect, what happened in 8 years? What seriously happened in 8 years? We could, look, all these things were resolvable. If, for instance, ESLA was just dedicated, look, I still want one courageous MPP person to tell me the reason for ESLA bonds.
In fact, Lawyer Edudzi, are you taking Lawyer Danquah's advice this morning? He says that in your initial submissions, it seems as though you were holding back. You didn't want to put too much. And that's why I wanted to ask Lawyer Danquah, are you giving Edudzi good advice? Will the people of Ghana not see that as merely the NDC trying to justify what is happening?
No.
Will the Ghanaian people not say that we want results?
Beginning, I said I don't want the blame game.
Yes, that's why I want to ask Lawyer Danquah, why is giving you this advice?
Backman and a good one enjoy your. Just send me a text. Now, and he's asking something very legitimate. You will recall that when His Excellency John Mahama won the elections, the MP kept on asking. We thought they were joking. We wonder how you are going to keep the lights on.
You remember?
We wonder how you are going to keep the lights on.
I recall.
Yeah. So these people, having left about 2.something billion debts with the IPPs, having misapplied the ESLA funds, knowing that there was no resources to even purchase fuel. You see, we need to move from the politics of, because I'm in opposition, I wish they fail so that I can have the chance of coming to. Because the reason why we do politics, whether you're in opposition, whether you are in government, is to see the Ghana agenda being pushed. You understand? So this politics of certain traps, because that's exactly what the MVP did. They've branded His Excellency John Mahama of being Mr. Doomsaw. So they created, and when they knew clearly they were going to, well, they said they knew around April last year that they were going to lose. You understand? So they essentially put them in a situation where, in their view, it was almost impossible to keep.
Danquah, this is a very sinister agenda that you're alluding to. Lawyer Edudzi, you also agree with this?
Hold on. No. You are buying liquid fuel and keeping the money, the debt. At the time you knew you were going to lose an election, clearly you knew that somebody will come and take it. And then you do a 360 degree.
All right, gentlemen.
So
let me bring Doki to the conversation.
So the agenda, I'm not sinister, but the agenda was very sinister. The agenda was very sinister. At the end of the day, we all need, unless we have the energy, then our transformation agenda won't be successful. So it's not about me advising Edudzi. I'm not sure I'm saying anything he does not already know. But all I'm saying is that it's not enough just collecting monies to, in the short term, deal with them.
Accountability is a must.
No, as in, people must be asked the necessary questions. And then, but also most critically, they need to quickly tell us what strategies they've put in place to ensure that the underlying factors that led to those debts are being dealt. And he gave an example that because of the obsolete nature of the machines, just transmitting energy from Gridco to ECG alone will cost about 30% of the energies being transmitted being lost.
Absolutely.
So Edudzi, I beg you, people should ASAP come and tell us what strategies you have put in place to ensure that the underlying factors that cause these debts are dealt with.
And I know that there are many other Ghanaians who agree with that.